Hey guys, how we doing?
Morning, everybody.
Joe here.
Kevin?
Okay, so this is our recap for The Good Place.
Yeah, kind of do a postmortem. Take It's been a week since we watched the finale, and I feel like this is a good show to like marinate on a little bit once it's done and
Yeah,
get a little perspective and think about it moving forward. We meant to do this for Mad Men and should have,
yeah,
but we ended up kind of getting schedule heavy and
yeah.
jumping right into the wire and didn't really find a time to make the work to really go back to it. So the
We're gonna
good
do both.
place.
I'm joking.
um, I don't know. Finale and overall thoughts of the show. What'd you think?
As far as the finale goes, I think like you, I was wrecked by a lot of it too. Um, I loved how they handled everything, especially the
Hmm.
Tahani character,
Right.
because you kind of for a second there thought like, okay, they're all gonna have their own moment
Sure.
going through the door. Whenever she had the realization of like, I'm not ready.
Right.
I love that. I love that it wasn't like, hey, everyone has to go.
Hmm.
They're all like they're completely individual, and the one bit I did like though was Jason hiding in the forest
I did too.
for all those years.
Yeah.
But the Eleanor and Chidi storyline really stuck out to me, and that one really ripped my heart out. I don't know. I kind of wanted, and I kind of thought it was going to be like, let's go together.
Right.
But I know that it wasn't as simple as that. I knew that he was going to get there first. Ultimately, as the episode was going on, I was like,
Right.
okay, yeah, of course he's going to be the first one to go. And I just found it like really endearing.
Yeah. Actually, for me, the farther I've thought about the show since the finale, the less sad I am about it. For me, like the moments that were the saddest wasn't actually anybody going through the door.
Mm,
I didn't, you know what I mean? As far as like when was it? What really actually hurt in that episode? It wasn't that; it was the goodbyes to the people that were staying. That I thought was a lot
yeah,
rougher for me than them actually going through. And when I thought about it like that, I was like, this actually wasn't that sad of a finale. I thought it was really sweet finale as opposed to sad. I felt obviously in the moment I felt, like a little wrecked, but after thinking about it for a few days, I was like, actually, I don't really feel like that was that sad.
I don't mean sad in the sense that like
Well,
tragedy.
a lot of
I
people think it's a sad resolution.
can it be like bittersweet? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, right.
It's like you're sad that it's happening and that it's final, but at the same time you're like, well, yeah, this is the
Yeah.
natural conclusion to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone's allowed to feel how they feel. You're allowed to,
Sure,
to think it's more sad than I did.
but it's a different type of
Um,
sad. Is like it's not Titanic sad.
no,
You
no,
know
it's
what I
not. You're right.
mean?
It
You know
wasn't
what
a
I mean?
tragedy at
Yeah,
all. Right. I think it just kind of really fit along with everything Michael Schur was trying to say with the show.
yeah,
It fit really well. I mean, it would have been, we had this like superficial idea of heaven starting in season one, right?
yeah,
Everyone gets to fly. Everyone gets their
yes,
favorite pet back.
yep.
All this stuff. Everyone gets their favorite food and they
Very
live in the
Minos.
perfect house. And it's like this like really superficial idea of what makes people happy.
Hmm.
Um, Starting at the beginning. And it would seem really weird, I feel like, in retrospect, if we got to the end and it was like, okay, now you actually get all of that. And now that is what makes you happy. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want,
Yeah,
all over the universe. All through history, with no limitations, and now you should be perfectly happy for eternity.
mhm.
I'm really glad the show didn't end like
Yeah,
that.
and I'm glad because that's kind of how the second to last episode ended, and we were like, hold on a second, what's
Right.
going to happen the next one? You know what I mean? And of course, we talked about it in the intro of the last episode. Yeah,
Well, I mean, they set up the final episode. They said like we're happy now because we can actually just end
yes.
it. In that penultimate episode.
But with the ending of the like Chidi and Eleanor looking over the sunset, we're
Sure.
like, okay, that feels very happy. What's going to happen in the next one? Obviously, yeah, the show stayed
Well,
happy throughout. I'm not saying it's a
right.
dark ending or anything, but like,
Well, I think we knew, and I'm pretty sure everyone watching knew that as soon as you set up the finale with we can opt out anytime we want, it's like, okay, well, that's what's going to happen. Going into the finale, if that's the new rule change, that's what's going to happen.
I don't know if I didn't want to believe it.
Sure, of course.
You know what I mean?
And
Yeah,
who does,
yeah,
right?
right.
And maybe,
Or
because
or for at the very least one character.
right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
Yeah.
sure. And I was thinking that too, is like which one is going to be the one to
Yes,
do it.
that was the thing.
And as we're watching shows, like it makes sense that if we're going to follow everyone through the natural
As soon as
conclusion,
Jason went, I was like, they're all gonna go.
if the resolution or if your final setup is this is eternity,
Yeah,
well, eventually
yeah,
everyone's going to get
yeah.
there. I feel like the bigger ideas and the ones that were there throughout the show. Michael Schur did one of my favorite other shows, Parks and Recreation.
Me too. I love Parks and Rec.
Love it. I've binged it several times, starting in season 3 after Mark Brandanowitz and
Yeah.
um,
Rob Lowe and
if Rob Lowe and
Adam
Adam
Scott.
Scott
Yeah.
show up, that's when the show gets really good for me personally. And I've binged it so many times. And I think one of the things I love so much about that show is you have all these characters, and they're not they're not just devoted to their jobs to make the world a better place. They're happier people by making
Yeah.
the world a better place. And I feel like that's kind of the Michael Schur had the same takeaway in this show,
Mm.
right?
Kind of a spiritual successor.
Yeah,
Spiritual successor.
joy isn't you won the lottery, or you everyone gets their dream house at the end. It's the peace and understanding that comes to the fact that you did something, you left a mark on other people.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like Parks and Rec, right? He did a similar thing with Parks and Rec as far as the last episode, when like you follow each individual character through their natural conclusion, or at least
Yeah.
how where do they end up in their lives once they leave Pawnee Parks and
They
Recreation.
did do that. Yeah. I really like that. Yeah.
Donna ended up rich, but she opened a foundation. Leslie and Ben stayed together and became very successful politicians, helping other people.
Yeah.
She gets a library named after her. Library. Ron ends up running a national park.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to find who they are, and the peace with that, and that's what this show kind of ended with. Everyone on the show, all of our 4 main characters on the show, and then you can throw in Michael, and you can throw in Janet. They didn't grow and become happier people by virtue of like, oh, this is how I'm going to be. It's they figured out how to be more selfless.
Yeah.
And that's why for me, Eleanor
They
is my
actually
favorite
learned how to
character.
become human.
Yeah,
Like, the show ends with Michael becoming a human being. Like that's
yeah, they don't like become perfect people. They just embrace
Yeah.
the best parts of themselves, and they do things for other people. You said you really like the bit with Jason waiting to go through at
I like
the
that a
end,
lot. Yeah.
and I did too. But I would take it further and say that wasn't really a bit. That was our moment to realize that Jason is completely unselfish. He waited
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
He waited there for a long time to give Janet the necklace that he meant to give her, and that he found. Yeah, exactly. You know, Eleanor doesn't want to go through. She's being selfish. She doesn't want Chidi to go through.
Mhm.
She eventually decides to let him, and then she does a few things to help out Michael and to help out Mindy. And then she feels better about going because she's kind of left her mark.
She had more to say.
Yeah, or to do anyway, for other people. So, and that's the moment that sticks with me on that really made that click was after she goes through. She's the only one we see go through, right?
Mm.
And she disintegrates into those little sparks,
Yeah.
and one falls on a guy who turns around and takes Michael the letter as
I like how they handled that.
as a selfless act. The idea that the goodness you put out into the world grows.
Yeah.
Eleanor became a largely selfless person who couldn't help caring about other people and following her conscience, and that rubbed off on other people, including the random guy that brought Michael his letter.
And we should talk about the character arcs, speaking of which,
Mhm.
because, if you think about it, like, the characters pretty much remain, they're still the same people we knew in the beginning.
Right.
They're just so much better.
Yeah,
Their
absolutely.
personalities have not changed at all.
I love the fact that they didn't
Right.
they didn't just become different people.
Yeah.
There's a weakness of writing when someone just is like,
It's a brand new person.
yeah. I mean, really, you're like
Yeah.
a completely different person by the time it's done. And it would have made more sense on this show because timeline is not a factor, right?
Yeah.
We have centuries and centuries. When you're looking logistically at linear time,
But they didn't do that.
they could have completely changed, but none of them really did.
The crazy thing is, even Sean.
Yeah, once people started realizing what actually mattered to them and made them happy, Michael probably changed the most. Obviously, he went from a demon to a guy who actually wanted to matter positively for people in the universe. And I think he also had the hardest time with Chidi's lessons, so I feel like that was earned and paid off really well.
Yeah.
But like Eleanor is still Eleanor. She had the same sense of humor. She still had to have her bad language corrected.
Just a better person. And
absolutely. A better version of herself. Right?
Everybody that we've seen on the show, every single person that we saw on the show ended up in the same place. I mean, really, even Eleanor's friends at the end of
yeah, they ended up there.
Yeah, they were all there having drinks with
except Brent, which I thought was really funny.
Yes,
that Brent never got there.
I wanted to bring that up at the end of last week's episode because the Brent thing, because we that was a big cliffhanger moment.
Right.
Whenever episode ends with Brent mid sentence, and we're like, okay, is Brent we're gonna follow Brent the next season? Like, what are we doing here? and then we just never got there with Brent.
Oh, yeah, I feel like if there was a weakness of the 4 seasons, I feel like that group of people coming in
And 3,
was it 3 or
that was
4?
3.
Okay, I feel like that didn't
Well, wait, was it
it
3?
worked,
Yeah, I think it was 3.
but they just kind of disappeared,
Yeah,
right? They just kind of like, okay, we're going a different direction. And I think it was planned. I don't think it was like, oh no, we need to course correct. But they kind of came in
yeah,
and they were kind of the focus for a while, and then they kind of weren't. And there,
sure.
but we didn't get much resolution with any of them. We didn't see any of them kind of make a leap at all. Well, not really.
What was Simone's ending? I mean, I don't remember,
Simone was there, in the actual Good Place,
but yeah, she
but
didn't
I
have much of an ending,
did
did she?
we get an arc of her earning her way there? Did we get
You
an
know,
arc of what was
that's a
the guy's
fantastic
name? The
John, Simone, and Brent were
Yeah,
the 3 we
John. I
followed,
keep forgetting John's name. We didn't get much
yeah.
out of them as far as their arc goes, and maybe that's
And they
realistic.
were such a big part of that season, though. We
Yeah,
did. They were like part of the main cast for
they were.
6, 7 episodes.
They were, and they just kind of fizzled out. I
Yeah.
feel like we got to the big moment where
Well,
it's
actually,
like the
Simone even longer. Simone was like a big part. Okay, season
right.
3 was when they were actually on Earth. I think that was season 4 where John Brenton and Simone were part of the Good Place.
Okay,
So, but still, you're right. Um, they did just kind of fizzle out a little bit.
yeah, and I think it was planned. I don't feel like the show meandered at all.
Yeah,
I just feel like that didn't work quite as well as everything else
yeah.
in the show did.
Nitpicking at this point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I do feel like that was like, okay, we didn't really go anywhere with them. We had one episode that really worked with them, and it was the episode where it was like we have to get them from point A to point B, and Brent almost gets there. Right? We get him there, but if that's the one thing on the show
That's when we wrote it,
that really
right?
felt rushed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
where Brent was awful, and I felt like that part was kind of rushed, and therefore a little bit unearned, getting to the end of it, um, and therefore it didn't fit as well. We felt a little disjointed from the show compared to
Sure,
everything else,
sure.
just for me. And
Uh,
I'm not saying I didn't like those characters because I did, especially Brent. I loved having him there.
the episode where Brent wrote his book made me laugh really, really hard.
Brent was a funny character; he really was.
Yeah, and that's kind of like you said, not disappointed in it whatsoever, but it did feel weird for a second. I was like, okay, are we not following this story? But I like the fact that it did subvert expectations. They're like, you can never guess with this show,
Right, for sure.
that's baked into it. That's
Yeah,
intentional, right? Like they set you up thinking you're going to go one way, and they completely pull the rug out from underneath you.
yeah, we didn't stay one direction on this show ever,
Ever.
and I'm glad it was completely unpredictable.
That's what kept it so fresh,
Yeah,
like and so believable that you can like actually see that these characters end up where they do and like keep the same personalities. Obviously, like we said, they had huge arcs and they've really changed as good people. But like the reason why you really buy the fact that like they've changed is because of the expectations the show sets for you. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And I love that.
I do too. Um, there was like small things you could kind of see where the show was going, but as far as like big plot points and plot twists and misdirects and all of that stuff, you couldn't really tell.
Did you see the first one coming at all? I didn't.
The first
That they're in the bad place?
No, not at all, not even a little bit.
Not
I
even a
didn't.
little
I
bit.
had no
We
inkling
were
of that.
shocked.
Yeah, it was shocking.
I kind of want to go back and look at our reactions just to see our faces because I
Right.
think we were genuinely blown away by that.
Yeah, I edited it. We were.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Overall, though, really, really great show. I think it fits in with, like I said, with other stuff that Michael Schur says. You make if it's just going to go on forever in pure happiness, does anything really matter?
Yeah.
And I think it's like make the most of your time, and I feel like that really kind of came through. I
Yeah,
really appreciated
sure.
the last episode. Again, aside from the goodbyes, which was obviously really rough, um, I mean, I think it's not really tragic because when you
Yeah.
see Eleanor trying to hold on to Chidi so hard with trips to Paris and Greece, you're like, stop doing that.
That's what makes it sad.
That's not going to work. Yeah, that's what makes it sad. But also, yeah, but Chidi leaving isn't. At that point, it's the right thing for him to
Because
do.
he's going to, forgive me, a better place.
Right. Yeah, he's going nowhere, which is where he wants to go.
Yeah, it's moving on.
Yeah, exactly. I love this show. I will be rewatching the show, obviously,
Me as well.
start to finish.
I can't believe I never put two and two together with the Parks and Rec ending as well because it does feel like it's in conversation with that as well.
I didn't think about that until like 2 days ago. I was like,
It
you know what,
really
this,
is.
because I was watching like a blooper reel on YouTube of Parks and Rec. I'm like, oh my god, the ending of that show and the ending of The Good Place are
Yeah.
so similar.
Yeah.
Where like I mean, for like Jerry, it goes to like Jerry's 100th birthday and he dies.
That's
Sorry if I'm
better.
spoiling anything for anybody if you're watching Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
but it does just kind of follow like where do we go with these people when it's done?
Yeah.
There's not just a cliff that ends with them, right? They don't leave anything. Michael Schur on these shows doesn't leave
It's
anything
like
to
he
the
learned
imagination, right?
from The Office, right? It's like The Office,
I
I
didn't
mean,
even finish it.
right?
I don't know that I've ever watched any of season 9. I
Wow.
think I jumped off sometime in season 8.
Well,
I've rewatched a lot of between like season 2 and season
yeah,
7.
the good parts, right?
Right, yeah.
The highs of The Office, I don't
But
think reach the highs of The Good
no,
Place
not even close.
or the highs of
No,
Parks and Rec,
I
in
don't
my
think so.
opinion.
I don't think so
I think
either.
Parks and Rec honestly might be a consistently better show,
Mhm.
and even this show. I love The Office to death. Please don't attack me in the comments. The Office is great when it was great.
Well, I think most people will agree the last 2 seasons cheapened everything
Pretty
that
bad.
came before it. I think it took a lot of good characters and ruined them a
But
little bit.
the point I was making was, is you can see a progression in
Yeah,
Mike Schur's career. Like, we haven't seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
right.
but like The Office, Parks and Rec, and now I think The Good Place is kind of above those shows. It's different. It's
No,
much different, but like
yeah,
it is thematically so good.
exactly. I think that in terms of a message show,
Yeah.
like Parks and Rec did a really good job, kind of highlighting the absurdity of like current events in the American political
Yeah.
and social justice systems that
I
we
mean, they
have
have a Western
kind of in
episode.
place. Yeah, exactly. But I agree. I think the Good Place is more about ideas, and I feel like it explored those ideas as well as any TV show has ever done. Certainly, much more so than any other half-hour comedy show has done,
No, for sure.
in my opinion, as far as what
In 20
I've
minutes,
watched.
they
Right?
just every week they knocked out of the park.
Yeah, they really did. The show had a lot to say, and in a really clever way with great character arcs, great writing, great performers.
Yeah.
They were able to say a lot.
Yeah.
In like 50 episodes. It wasn't even a
50
long
something.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
binge it again here very soon.
Is Michael Schur working on a show right now?
I I don't know. Is Brooklyn Nine-Nine still on air?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
We would like to do it on the channel, but
yeah, NBC.
NBC bought it. Universal owns it, and Universal, for those of you who watch YouTube edits of The Good Place, no, I had to re-edit The Good Place 3 times a week just to get it
Yeah.
through copyright block, and even then it was ad blocked. It was so much work that we are done with Universal as far as their television series go. It's not worth it.
They even gave us some trouble on some movies we've done too.
Yeah, they are the least user friendly
They're on it.
for actors.
Yeah.
They want to make sure you show nothing, which is kind of defeats the purpose.
That's why some of these edits are shorter. Like if if one edit's like 20 minutes long, the one's like 11 minutes long, it's like because we just have to cut it down.
Well, I never put up a video edit of this show that didn't get blocked, and I had to re-edit it
Every single
at
time,
least
yeah.
once, every time.
Every single time.
Just it was infuriating. It was infuriating for 4 seasons. Never thought about quitting because we love the show.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. For sure.
hey, Universal, ease up a little bit.
Please.
The people who watch reactions have already watched your show.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're trying to help you.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Let people enjoy what they already love. I mean, I'm paying for Netflix.
Peacock's the Universal one. Paying for Peacock too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm paying for both.
Yeah.
So yeah, at any rate, wonderful show. I will be rewatching it again soon. I'm almost done rewatching Schitt's Creek.
Oh, nice.
I want to fit Mad Men back in there somewhere, of course.
I've been watching a handful of Mad Men too.
So good. All right, we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you.
See ya.